love his choice of shoes. I've never been a sneakerhead, and now that once in my life, I love wearing sneakers, and I judge sneakers as well. So yeah, I love sneakers. I love Anand as well. Thanks.
Hi guys, welcome to the 50th interview on Journey Teachers. We have Shreyas Rao with us, and Shreyas, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people watching.
Oh, wow. Okay, I'm very bad at introducing myself. So I'm just going to say that my name is Shreyas Rao. I'm a content creator and a comedian and an improv artist. But more importantly, I am an Idli lover. I am a Bangalore lover. And I love mornings. I'm a morning person. And apart from that, I'm also a very good looking guy. That's all I want to say.
Definitely. So can we expect the session to be funny because we're a comedian, or
Of course. How I don't even know any better way. Like the funny is the only way I know, or just being what it is.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's begin with the very first question. What do you
Okay.
feel about this industry and the career of content creation, the opportunities one might generate, any pros and cons associated?
Oh, as an industry, see, honestly, it's an industry maybe in say like a Delhi or a Mumbai right now. I am from Bangalore. Are you from Bangalore?
Yes. I'm not from
Oh,
Bangalore,
okay.
but I live in Bangalore.
Oh, you live in Bangalore, so you know this. So obviously, content creation and people creating original content is something pretty new to Bangalore right now. I have not seen way too many creators over here. Of course, there are of course your fashion bloggers, food bloggers, and what's up, kuch hai. But when it comes to creating original content and relatable content, characters, etc., I've not seen so many creators from Bangalore. So it's not an industry as such, or maybe if there is an industry, I am not aware of it. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's extremely what do you say? It's crazy because I also have a full-time job, and I also want to, of course, do this because it's something that comes to me very naturally. I enjoy being in front of the camera to make people laugh, to say something funny, or just be relatable. That's something that comes very naturally. So I enjoy creating content. Pros and cons, I don't know. Pros is, of course, you get a lot of love. That is the best part of creating content. You on a daily basis, I get so many messages saying how I make people's day, how they smile when they watch a particular piece of content, how they resonate with it, how they relate to it, and there are a lot of fun stuff to it. The flip side is, I think, of course, we all get sucked into the whole system of increase followers, algorithms is not working, some videos doing well, and there are times when you put in so much hard work to make one video and it doesn't do anything, and then you make something completely like मतलब अभी सोचा अभी बना के डाल दिया kind of a thing, and suddenly that's getting so much attention. So sometimes you're just like questioning कि अच्छा should I even work hard or not. So I think that is the numbers part of it in any job is a little irritating for me at least. So I think that even in this space, that is the most annoying part of being a content creator.
Definitely, this is the story of every content creator, and
yeah, we're all chasing numbers.
Definitely. And I think fun is the definition of your life. Fun and crazy stuff, right?
Yeah, I would say humor is more of definition of my life. I find humor in everything. Like whatever I see, I try to see it with a very light-hearted lens. I don't really think too much about things because uh, it's really not so deep. Sometimes you just have to look at it from whatever it looks from the top, and you're like, fine, okay, this is what it is. Just have fun and move on. Don't take anything too seriously. Don't take anything to the heart. So I usually live by that rule very clearly.
So does it help you to be carefree and, avoid overthinking part of life?
To an extent, yes. I mean, overthinking, I think, especially at the times that we are in right now, everybody's an overthinker. It's about how much mind space you want to give. And especially for somebody like me who's doing so many things right now, I really don't have the time to overthink. So I'm just like, Aksha, if it's happening, great. If it's not happening, just move on. Something else will come up. So it's really that. You cannot think so much about every single thing. It's okay. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it will not work. Always, I just tell one thing to myself, saying that I'm a young guy. I'll figure it out at some point.
Exactly. Okay. So what are the steps and behind the scenes of creating one reel look like?
Okay, creating one reel. So it always starts with observing. That's the most important part of any creating any content, at least for me. So I first observe, and I have lots of people who are just like, like walking, talking pieces of content, whether it's at home, whether it's at work, whether it's just, my friends, everybody. So I observe a lot of things, and then I'm like, okay, fine, I find something over there. So is piece ko leke, let me see what can I do. Then I'll probably write a script or two. I'll write a one joke or one punchline and try to put a premise together. Then I know certain characters that I can do really well. Then I'm like, fine, okay, this can be in this particular format. Ye dialogue, this lady with the wig will probably say something like this. I'll say something with a different accent. And then I shoot them all on my camera, then put them together and I put it out on the internet. That's it. It's pretty much, it's a single handed one-man army. So I'm doing everything, setting up the camera, setting up the light, right, where I'm shooting, figuring out which corner of the house do I, hijack and shoot this time. वो सब कुछ सोच के then I figure it out eventually.
Yeah, everything from ideation, shooting, production, everything, putting
everything
out is your duty. Nice.
Yes, it's a full-time job. Of course, I have my friends to bounce off certain ideas and just ask them, saying that, hey, what do you think of this? And you get some inputs. But yeah, ultimately, like, because I shoot everything on my own, so it's me doing it all the way.
Definitely. Okay, so what's your take on collaboration and PR stuff that works for influencers? How does all of this process work?
Firstly, I don't like the word influencer because I'll tell you why. I think certain apps and certain community of influencers have influencing is a very different thing where they're promoting a certain product. I really like calling myself a content creator, which who accidentally happens to influence people's life. It just in case, I don't even know if it happens, but yeah, I'm more of a content creator. Coming to your question, collaborations, they are great. It's a great networking opportunity, honestly, and I've done a lot of collaborations in the recent past, and it's a lot of fun. I am talking about collaborating with fellow content creators. So, I have my friend Sonu Venugopal, who is a very popular stand-up comedian and a content creator. So, collaborate with her, or, some other friends who just reach out and say, hey, you know what, let's just make a video with something that, fits both our personalities. It's a lot of fun. It also gives a very different dimension to a script or a reel because you're bringing two personalities, two different styles together. So I love collaborations. I don't know what it does to your profile or your numbers and how people take to it, but at the end of the day, it is good reach and it's a fresh piece of content, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, from both the sides, I think it matters in terms of networking
Yeah.
and producing fun content for people as well. Okay.
Correct. And I think because it's a budding or it's a community that is just growing now of content creators. It's very important to stay in touch, to discuss and to know what's happening in terms of content. How are people dealing with content blogs? Sometimes you get idea from somebody else and they'll be like, I thought of this, but it's not my personality. It could probably fit it, so why don't you try? So I think networking is extremely important, and it's always good to be connected with fellow content creators.
Exactly. It helps you to learn so much what's going on around.
Of course.
Okay. So did you learn comedy or how to be funny along with the voice modulation, or does it comes naturally?
No, it comes very naturally. I'll tell you why. Because I started off my career as a radio, not a presenter, but a producer at a radio station. So I also wanted to be a radio jockey. I was like, and when you're in a radio station, and because you're so young, and I want to tell you that if you ever, want to get off on a job, radio is a great foundation. It teaches you a lot of things, and more than anything, it teaches you multitasking because you're writing, you're doing voiceovers, you're recording them, you're also editing them, you're putting things together. And before even reels happen, 30 seconds, 40, 1 minute ka thing, radio is also already doing it, where they used to talk for 1 minute, jo hota hai time frame. So radio is a great foundation. So that's where you learn. And I am also a very expressive person. So when I'm talking to you right now, I'll not talk to you like, so yeah, this is what I feel. I'll always talk to you with a lot of expression. So modulation is something which is a part of the personality. Comedy, if you have a funny bone, of course it works. Some people also, write very serious comedy and, write very interesting comedy without really being funny in real life. It's not a criteria as such. But for me, at the end of the day, observation is extremely important. So if you observe something and if you know that there can be something funny that can come out of this, then you start working on it. And of course, there are a lot of workshops. There are a lot of seasoned comedians who conduct writing workshops. Writing, of course, is very important. So I've attended a couple of writing workshops, understood how certain rules in comedy work, how to sometimes even learning how to deal with a bad show also is so important. So yeah, a couple of workshops, and of course, writing every single day is the only way you can start becoming a comedian. Even before you start going to open mics and before you start doing shows or whatever, it's very important to write. Like write every single day. Everybody has said this, but I'm telling you, it's very very important to write.
Yeah, jotting down all of what you have in your mind is really important. So do you think that
Yeah.
it has to be scripted to be come out perfectly?
Not scripted, but at least you need to have pointers. Like there are people who work very differently. Like in my case, and this is something that I realized much later in life, that I don't have the ability to memorize anything. So even in school, I could never by heart a definition. I could never by heart or like memorize certain paragraphs or something. It used to I have always written my own answers. You know how they used to say in school, ki apne, write your own answers, you'll get your marks, but it has to of course have the right points. So I cannot memorize at all. So I could write one thing like Mary had a little lamb. When I go on stage, it'll become like there was Mary and she had a lamb. So I'll completely change it because I cannot memorize that one particular line. So for me, writing would be something as simple as writing those basic points. Ki, "Achha, this is the main joke. This is the main joke. These are my keywords, and this is something that I need to probably build up." And 99.9% of times, I will never know how I will start a show because I am always fretting. That first 15 or 20 seconds or the first few lines that you say on stage sets the entire tone for the show that you have, and I never have that ready. So I'm like literally like waiting. The host probably is like almost saying, "Okay, next performer is Shreyas." Or something. That time I'm thinking, "Acha, what do I go and say?" And then I'm like, "Okay, fine, just bring it."
Definitely. Tell us some experience of your on the stage.
I had a great first show. So, which is good and also bad at the same time because my first show, I remember, I think I did about just before the pandemic. So, 2019 December, I remember the time, and there was an open mic in Canada, and my friend said you should probably try, and I wrote a 5 minute set which eventually became 7 minutes, and I was like trying to memorize. I was trying to know the notes. I was like, worst case situation, I'll keep the book somewhere handy, ye wo karke. And I went on stage and I was really good. Like everybody was like, this didn't feel like the first time for you at all. Like you were like a pro and you should do more. What's up, kuch hua? And then I was like, oh, I should totally do this, totally up my alley. Then I was working in Bombay at that time. So, and this comedy show was in Bangalore. When I went back to Bombay, I tried doing like an open mic and an improv workshop. And that's when I tanked so badly that I was like, maybe this is not for me. Maybe this is not my place at all. Like, wait, what am I doing in life? So it took me some time to then, of course, feel like, okay, you know what? It's okay. Get yourself together and write something better. Maybe it'll work. And then the pandemic happened, and a bunch of online shows that we were all doing, and then it became like a good practice where you're practicing your material. Also, pandemic gave so much scope for new content. About work from home itself, you could do so much. You could do so much about sitting at home or cooking, gavo. So there was a lot of content that happened during that time. I think I'm a pandemic content creator. And yeah, now in the recent past, I think I recently had a corporate show which was like amazing. Like I have very little hopes on corporate shows because I'm always very worried about कि अच्छा लोग सुनेंगे कि नहीं सुनेंगे because they're in a different zone. But one of the most memorable shows I've had is on a corporate setup where it just works very naturally because there's such characters in every single office. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, tanking for the first time also was a different experience. I remember I was doing a Kannada stand-up again, and I usually write in English and rely on my very, very poor translation skills to go and translate in Kannada, and that didn't work at all. Like every single joke fell flat, 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 and I was like, okay, this is really not working. So yeah, there are good shows and bad shows, but you just have to know that eventually you'll find your voice and your tone and your content and everything else.
Yeah, every experience is different and it really gives you a lot of learnings. So how do you engage people who are not listening?
How do I engage people who are not listening? By just calling them out. That is, I mean, at the end of the day, they have signed up to have fun. So if it means at their expense, great, why not? So I remember when I'm doing corporate show, recently this happened where there was this one girl who was using a laptop. And I was like, okay, the entire audience of like 200 people are listening to me. And this is one person who is like has a laptop open and she's working. So I immediately went up to her and told her, like, what are you doing? Like, what is so important? What is that one? I called her the HR and said, you should get an Employee of the Year award. So I just like go and have fun with them only. So I just ask them, what are they doing? What is so important? Come on, like, what's more important than I am? So just have fun with them, and they're like, okay, fine, we'll shut the laptop and listen to you. So yeah, that's how you catch some people.
Yeah, continuing the show basis on like what are they doing and engaging them. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. So how should one include the skill of humor that's so important in one's speech, as you said?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
How should one actually include the sense of humor in one's speech, as you said?
See, it's something that has to come very naturally. You can't start becoming funny out of nowhere. There has to be that one kida that you observe things. Like for example, I also did not know that I had kida in me. I used to be a very very quiet and a very like no talk, no nonsense kind of a person all my school life. And then eventually in college, when I started opening up and talking to more people, and I also realized, have fun kind of a guy. From a nerd to a not so nerd kind of person, I started, making a lot of puns. I used to find like certain spellings funny. I would just, imitate somebody, college में teacher को imitate कर लिया वहीं. So you start finding humor in things. So it's all comes down to observation at the end of the day and what you make of it. Like you're seeing a cup of tea, you could say something very philosophical. So people who are very philosophical come up with something very interesting all the time, saying that always see your glass half full, half empty kind of quotes. So similarly, when I look at a teacup, I'm just like, yaar, isme shakkar hai ki nahi hai? So your perspectives, the minute your perspective changes, your tone changes and your approach towards anything changes. So I try and look at, I don't try and look at things in a humorous way, but yeah, whenever I see something funny, I'm just like, make a joke. That's it. Just know that it's not insensitive. I don't like offending people. So yeah. Yeah. And the best thing to do is make fun of yourself. Like, I make fun of myself all the time, and I make it up by being very self-obsessed also. So yeah, just take yourself very lightly. Don't take yourself so seriously. That's one thing, also very important thing.
Yeah, and the skill of humor is so much necessary to be like escaped from that boring part of life.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's always interesting.
So how have you interestingly included the snacky thing or idli, to be more precise, to be the highlight of your profile?
Wow, that's a very good observation. It's honestly it's just the way it is. Like I lived in Bombay for like 3 years, right? I was working there, so I was living in Bombay, like in middle of Andheri, which is like heart of the media center of Bombay and all that. And that's when I realized like I had taken Bangalore completely for granted. Like I did not think कि मतलब I always loved Bangalore, but it's just that when you're away from something, you love that even more. So when I realized like all I wanted on certain mornings is to have a nice steaming plate of idli with chutney, and I was like, अच्छा यहाँ पे कहाँ मिलता है कहाँ मिलता है कहाँ मिलता है कहाँ मिलता है, and then you don't find it, and you're like, what, yeah, Bangalore में अच्छा था. So then I started making idli at home, and then I realized like every time I used to come to Bangalore, which is like once every month when I was in Bombay, I used to come here and be like, first thing I would do is like have coffee at the airport. And after the coffee at the airport, I would always come down to one of those famous idli places and have like 2 full plates of idli. And then it became like a thing. Like I used to take the picture of the idli and say, okay, another idli done and dusted. I would come up with some random idli song. And then eventually people started noticing that, like when you talk about idli so much, eventually people will be like, okay, this is some crazy idli love. Then I was like, okay, yeah, I mean, this is what it is. I love idli way too much. So whenever I have it, I'm like, click, 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 click.
Amazing. That is really true. Okay. So you are soon going to complete 1K posts on Instagram, but your followers doesn't justify that number. So how do you still feel motivated when these numbers are actually reaching you?
See, I'll tell you what, of this, in that 1,000 posts, no, I've been creating content for people's consumption only about a year, for the last 1 year or something. I think last year, July, August or something when I started off actually. So, उसके पहले what posts were there, or were all my pictures from like I was in Bombay, met somebody ये वो, and food के pictures. And also of the 1,000 posts on Instagram, I think 600 of them are 600 700 of them are just like really old ones. And I honestly feel like it's okay. You know, that you can never put a number on your content, because there'll never be a justification. Like right now, I know that a couple of my videos have gone beyond like 500K views, but obviously that it doesn't necessarily translate to conversion of following. But that's also how I am as an Instagram consumer. When I watch somebody else's content, I might watch it once, I might watch it twice, I might watch like five different videos of them, but I just don't want to follow them because it's not somebody I want to engage with. I don't know what it is. So you have to give people time. For every, I think you gain a follower after somebody has watched, say, like some 5-10 videos of yours, and they know that, okay, what, this profile will give me some interesting content or humorous content every time I come, so I might follow now. So that's going to happen eventually over some period of time. Until then, just keep hustling, just keep doing content. That's all I do.
Yeah, patience and consistency are the factors.
Very important, yes.
Okay, so some of your reels have crossed big numbers. How do you feel about this success?
Very good. I love it. It's amazing. I randomly go and do the view insights thing just to see the kind of numbers it's doing, and I see like 40,000 shares, 45,000 shares, and people liking it, engaging with it, and sharing it as well. It's a lot of fun, because I know for a fact that in the last few days people have come up to me and told me, saying that, what, your content popped up on my feed, and I was like, oh my god, this guy's really popular. This guy's like, everybody's talking about him. So it's a lot of fun. I mean, I love being spoken about, so I enjoy it. I
And
love
the
the
fact that
attention.
you are
Just
managing that along with your job is really interesting, that you are hustling aside. That's really nice.
it's crazy. Let me tell you, it's crazy, because I wake up at like 5:30 in the morning, because I also have to spend time at home. Also, need to, of course, keep myself fit, work out, etc., etc. And then there are, of course, uh, content I need to shoot, and there's shows I have to do, and then there's a regular job. It's crazy, but I love it.
Yeah, and it will eventually pay off.
Of course, that is the hope.
Okay, so do you sometimes also think that just because you are creating content in a South Indian language, sometimes you have restricted your audience?
No, I'll tell you why. Because it's something as simple as it's something which is very close to the community. Like, I also don't consciously think about here, I want to make content only in Kannada or English. If you see my content, most of them are in English, but it's very Bangalore English, because I really feel like Bangalore is more about the city than any language for that matter, because everybody speaks three different languages over here, which is beautiful. And everybody, like, Bangalore is such an emotion that anybody can connect to it. People who, for you, for example, you've been living in Bangalore for some time now. Of course, you're very young, but I'm sure you love this city, and there are certain things about the city that you will always make you smile. So that is what I think about, and I always think about what comes very naturally. Like, for example, when I'm talking to my mom, I will not necessarily speak to her in English. So then automatically that content piece will be in Kannada, and will have a lot of regional influences over there. Versus if I'm talking about a corporate setup, obviously I'm going to speak in English. So I look at it only in terms of what fits that piece of content, and not consciously think about, I want to make this particular reel only in Kannada or English or Hindi. I'm okay. I'm comfortable with all three languages. So whatever suits the premise and whatever suits that piece of content, I go with that flow.
Particularly what suits the concept and that particular piece, you follow that eventually. Okay.
Yes.
So what do you love the most about the Bangalore city, and what do you suggest people like they can take from here to the north?
uh, Please take the perfect recipe to make the perfect idli, because it's very important. Uh, People like we find it very difficult to go out there, step out of Bangalore, and we're like, okay, fine, we feel literally like fish out of the water. I feel like the idli out of the chutney. So similarly, just learn how to make coffee as well. That's also very important. A good cup of filter coffee did not hurt anybody ever. So those are two things. Apart from that, yeah, I mean, every city has its charm. Don't have to take anything from Bangalore except these two recipes. Otherwise, I think people should just enjoy the way every other city is.
And one thing which I think North Indians cannot take is the Bangalore weather, for which they are being jealous of.
Of course, everybody is jealous of Bangalore weather, because nobody. I don't think anybody has it this beautiful all the time of the year. Like in Bangalore, you just have to complain. Like चार बार complain कर दो कि यार गर्मी बहुत ज़्यादा हो रही है, and next thing you know, it's rained and it just cooled down the city. Like from 32 degrees, it just directly dropped to 25. There is no in between. So we're blessed with good weather, so we can't do anything about it, but just enjoy.
Yeah, definitely. So, Shreyas, crack a joke. It's getting boring. Has anybody said this to you randomly? What's your usual reaction to this, or like even to the trolls you get sometimes?
I'll just be like, okay, say something funny. I'll say something funny back. That's it.
Okay, this was quite
Yeah.
interesting.
I'll just be like, ask me something funny. I'll give you a funny answer. That's it.
Okay, so now you can go ahead and enact something. Hope you have your wig by your side and you can just choose a random topic and just do something.
Okay, so one of the early characters that I actually picked up doing, or the accent I actually picked up to talk. Okay, this is going to be a little messy because I have not used this wig in like a long time. This is what it looks like. So yeah, one of the first few characters that I tried doing, and I was like loving doing that, is a Sonam Kapoor accent. So you ask me any question, I'll answer like Sonam Kapoor for you.
Okay, anything. What is your husband's name?
His name is Anand, and he's really sweet. He's a feminist, and I love the way he takes care of me. I love the way he talks. I love his choice of shoes. I've never been a sneakerhead, and now that Anand's in my life, I love wearing sneakers, and I judge sneakers as well. So yeah, I love sneakers. I love Anand as well. Thanks.
Perfect. You want to do something else of your own choice?
Of my own choice, I would just say follow me on Instagram, guys.
Perfect. I will drop the links to the Instagram in the description below and you guys can check it out. And it was really amazing.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So, you want to say something to the aspiring comedians from your own journey or experience?
See, I'm not like a seasoned comic to give too much gyan, but I just want to say that say something that almost everybody says, that write something every single day. You can find humor everywhere. You could be walking on the same street every single day 5 times, and you will definitely see something different that is going to be like, okay, I should probably talk about this. And always remember, it's a process. You're not going to get jokes on the first day. You're not going to get laughs on your first show, and you have to be okay with it. Sometimes you will just have to know that, what, maybe that joke was great in your head, but not necessarily great on paper. And sometimes one bunch of audience might understand the joke and love it. The other bunch will not enjoy and love it. And don't get pulled down or bogged down by negative comments, because there are people whose job is literally to just give you comments on everything. Like sometimes I just say Bangalore and they'll be like, hey, it's not Bangalore, it's Bengaluru. And sometimes it's sometimes people are like, but why aren't you speaking this particular language? And there will be enough and more comments that'll just make you feel like, okay, why? But then you just have to know that what you felt is right at that point in time, and you have to commit to it. If your intention is right, nothing can bother you. If your intention was to offend people, then of course you made a decision consciously, so you're open to that kind of criticism. But otherwise, it's okay. You don't have to take every single piece of criticism to heart. It's okay if your certain videos don't do well. Everybody will find their niche at some point in time. Until then, just keep hustling. What comes to your mind, just put it out there and evolve as a creator. Like I feel evolving as an artist or a creator is extremely important. Like just today, I was watching some old reel of mine that just popped up, and I was like, and I want to share it. And I could see such a big difference in the way my videos used to look like 8 months back versus what it's looking like right now. The way I'm confident in front of the camera has improved. The way I write or the way I edit or the way the video looks has improved. And I really hope in another 3-4 months, I again see some kind of change between what my videos look like today and versus what will look in 3 months from now. Because if I don't see that change, I'll be really upset about the fact that, okay, there's nothing that I've done drastically. So learn, pick up software, learn hacks, learn how to engage with people, reply to people, be nice to them, and just be aware of things around you. That's it. Wow, that's too much gyan.
That was really insightful, and I hope this really helps the people watching. And it was really interesting to see this side of you. We have already seen the funny side of you, but this was like really amazing.
Yeah. Thank you so much. That's very sweet of you. You've been very kind.
Yeah, thank you so much for coming. How did you feel this interview
Thank
was? How
you.
did you find me as a host?
I really loved it. Ek to, firstly, I'm very jealous that you're 19 years old and just going to be 20. So, I mean, you're young, and I love the fact that you're so invested in creating this piece of content, talking to people. Like I said, networking is extremely important, and it is always nice to talk to people of a different generation. Clearly, you are of a different generation, and it's nice. It's nice that you've done your research. It's nice that you are very confident and you let the other person talk. It's all good, and I can't wait to watch more of your content and your interviews with interesting people coming going forward.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It was wonderful to have you here.
Thank you.